Where are 1% of American adults?
Oh, I imagine we could find out, couldn't we? We could use Google Earth, because some of them are quite big. There's one. He's got his own postcode.
1% of the population, which is, what's the population? It's about
300 million, isn't it?
So you're talking about between 2.5 and 3 million, say?
Jail.
Yes. G for jail. English spelling of jail, of course, but it is G for jail.
Really, that many people? 3 million people are locked up?
Well, 2.3, which is 1 in every 99.1 adults.
All of those guys there are innocent as well, because they all were arrested for having switchblades, but they've all only got one arm.
Well spotted. Proportionally, Americans prison more than twice as many as South Africans, more than 3 times as many as the Iranians, more than 6 times as many as the Chinese. No society in history has imprisoned more of its citizens than the United States of America.
We're done pretty well, though, don't we? We sort of top the European League.
We're ahead of China, Turkey and India.
Yes.
Yeah, with 148 prisoners per 100,000.
It's the 3 strikes and they're out.
That's been really the problem, yeah.
I mean, a legal system based on baseball just seems bizarre. Yes. We don't seem to understand the law. It's all very complicated. What's simple? What do people like? Baseball. Right then. Here's the rule.
3 strikes and you're out, yeah.
Mental.
What it means is if the first 2 strikes, the first 2 crimes you're convicted of are serious enough, the third one, no matter how trivial, will get a life sentence, 25 years or more. So, for example, Leandro Andrade is serving 2 consecutive 25-year terms for shoplifting 9 videotapes.
He took 9?
Yes. Kevin Webber, 26 years for stealing 4 chocolate chip cookies. It's astonishing.
It's really stupid, isn't it? Because if you know you're on this sort of deal...
Yes.
Yeah.
Take 5.
Yes.
That is the idea,
Do another murder. Do a bank job. There's no point.
There's no point doing anything trivial. No, I know.
Get caught.
It is a bit bonkers. But the racial numbers are a bit worrying, and the gender numbers, it's 1 in 30 men aged 20 to 34 is behind bars. But for black males, that's 1 in 9. 1 in 9. There are more 17-year-old black people in jail than in college. So 5% of the world are American, 25% of all prisoners
Isn't the real
are American.
controversy with this the business end of it?
Well, that's true. It's also, as you say, right, it is a business.
Because it's not just license plate, they make loads of stuff.
Well, one of the things I should have said when talking about contraband is that you're not allowed to bring into America anything that's been made by forced labour or prisoners. But in America, you could almost say, if you were so minded, that they've reinvented the slave trade. They produce, for example, 100% of all military helmets, ammunition belts, bulletproof vests, ID tags and other items uniform, 93% of domestically produced paints, 36% of home appliances, 21% of office furniture, which allows the United States to compete with factories in Mexico because, of course, obviously the workers can't refuse to work for 25 cents an hour.
I'd very much like to say something hilarious, but something must be done.
It is.
Yes.
It feels astonishing.
Timing to
It is a bit amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's slavery by the back door.
Exactly, isn't it?
Plenty for you to work.
You get solitary confinement if you refuse to work. Yeah, more than 1 in 100 American adults are in jail.
Have you had this idea about the Robin Hood bankers' tax?
Yes. It's a sweet little idea, taxing the banks to help the poor, but I don't think it'll work. It's very complicated and would be very tough on the banking sector.
Which has just been given billions of pounds of taxpayers' money to keep it going.
Well, yeah, of course.
And is still paying itself billions of pounds in bonuses.
Yes.
So the tax is a charge on all bank transactions that don't include members of the public. Bonds, derivatives, currency, speculative stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Very complex.
So the bankers would give how much from each deal they do? 25%?
Well, no, not that much.
10%?
No.
5%?
No, not 5.
More or less?
Slightly less.
What, 1%?
Not quite.
Half of 1%?
No.
0.1%?
No.
Half of that. They give around 0.05% of every deal.
Yeah, that's about right.
And sometimes it'd be even less. That doesn't sound like a lot to most people.
No. I can see that.
And how much would it raise to help people at home and abroad?
Oh, a fair amount, I believe.
Or £1 million a year?
No, More than that.
£100 million.
More.
£500 million.
Well,
£1 billion.
no, it's slightly more than that, I'm told.
£10 billion.
More.
£50 billion.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
In fact, I believe it's likely to be more than £100 billion. Could be double that. Could be more than double.
Yeah, possibly.
Right. So let me get this clear. A tiny tax on the banks could raise billions of pounds every year to help save lives in the poorest countries, fund crucial action against climate change around the world, and help avoid cuts to crucial public services in this country.
Gosh. Well, yeah. That is about the, some of it. I don't know. Perhaps it's, quite a good idea.
Okay, this is a moment in history. We are here with Sam Capilano and from the Squamish Nation in a red jacket, and we're placing what's called a permanent eviction notice to the courthouse. The red jacket is from Turtle Island. Sam Capilano, who is the Squamish Nation. The permanent eviction notice is placed here because the Queen and the bankers are trespassing on his sovereign territory. This is tax-free territory. This is sovereign. Capilano, you've got some words to say here?
This is part of the Squamish Nation. It has been. My grandfather told me that when they first came, they separated, divide and conquer with the idea. Now this is known as another nation, but I know it's our land, so I'm not afraid to stand up anywhere and tell anybody.
Red Jacket, you got a few words?
Yeah, I'm Red Jacket. I'd like to tell the people that for 537 years since the two-row walking belt was put in place, it was total destruction. And if we don't correct these here alterations that our judges in the justice system, so-called justice system, I never heard such a farce in my whole life. 60 years from now, this here earth, there's no changing back. It'll go into another Mars. Total destruction. Don't the judges understand this, or they sleep? Who taught them? What university taught them? Where do they get their education? Don't they know they're on death row?
We just finished entering and going through a procedure at the Richmond Provincial Court, and what happened was my name got called out. I didn't correct her, which I was kind of thinking of doing, but then I thought, okay, I'm just going to present myself as who I am standing in front of her, because she seemed actually quite like a nice judge. So when she said, when I stepped up to the mic, I said, I claim common law jurisdiction. She right away rattled off all the charges and wanted to ignore that statement. And then she asked me, how do I plead? And I said, I do not consent, and I waive the benefit. And I think that's a really powerful statement that I want to teach to a lot of people, because when you enter a plea, you enter into a contract. Whether it's guilty or not guilty, it is their way of saying you have understood the jurisdiction that they want you to respond with. And the guilty or the not guilty is something that you actually perjurize yourself with. So when I said I do not consent, meaning I do not consent to you making any legal determinations against me, I do not consent to your jurisdictional claims against me, and I do not consent to contracting with me. Quite final with that. And because I had claimed common law jurisdiction at the beginning of my statement to the judge, she realized that I knew what I was doing, and she dismissed the case right away. So I'm really, really pleased with the outcome. After that, I actually met up with Paul Gibson in the lobby of the provincial court, and went up to him and shook his hand, and he said, and yeah, you are? And I said, oh, Irene Gravenhorst, and I told him that they dismissed the case, and he went, oh, too bad. It was orchestrated that Paul shows up after the case was dismissed so that he didn't have to deal with these issues and be on the stand, on the record, for being the debtor to the contract.
Oh, and I have to tell you that it's going to cost $3 billion.
It's fine, ma'am.
Okay.